HM. So, they finally said it out loud, didn't they? Those words slipped out like a confession at 3 a.m. when the truth stops pretending to be polite. I think about them every day. Not sometimes, not occasionally, not when something reminds them. Every single day. And you know what? You already knew. You felt it in the air, in the silence that followed your name in conversations you weren't part of, in the energy that shifted when you entered the room even when you weren't physically there. But hearing it, hearing them admit it, that's the chef's kiss, isn't it? That's the moment the universe whispers, "Congratulations, you beautiful chaos. You've become unforgettable. Welcome back, or should I say, welcome to the penthouse suite of their consciousness." Because clearly, you're not just visiting their thoughts anymore. You've moved in, renovated the place, hung up artwork, and you're not paying a single cent in rent. Not a penny, not a dollar. You're living there for free, and they can't evict you no matter how hard they try. Let's establish something crucial right here, right now, because I need you to understand the magnitude of what just happened. When someone says, "I think about them every day," they're not talking about casual memory. They're not talking about, "Oh, yeah, I remember that person." No, no, no. This is obsession disguised as reflection. This is you occupying space in their mind that was supposed to be reserved for their own growth, their own healing, their own future. But instead, they wake up and you're there. They go to sleep and you're there. They're in the shower and somehow your name echoes louder than the water hitting the tiles. They're eating breakfast, and the coffee tastes like the bitterness of knowing you're out there thriving while they're stuck in the loop of, "What if," and "Why couldn't I?" You didn't break into their mind. They invited you in with every judgment they made, every rumor they spread, every time they underestimated you, every moment they thought you'd crumble under the weight of their expectations. And now? Now they can't get you out. You're the song stuck in their head, except there's no skip button. You're the dream they can't shake when they wake up. You're the ghost that doesn't need to haunt because your presence is already carved into their subconscious. And the beautiful, twisted irony? You're not even trying. Here's where it gets delicious. Where the reality of the situation becomes so poetic, it almost feels scripted by karma herself. They thought they were watching you. They thought they were the ones with power, with control, with the upper hand. They analyzed your every move, dissected your choices, whispered about your failures, celebrated your struggles like it was their personal entertainment. But what they didn't realize, what they couldn't see because they were too busy staring through their binoculars of bitterness, is that every second they spent focused on you was a second they stole from their own life. Every minute they used to criticize you was a minute they could have used to build something of their own. Every hour they wasted plotting against you, talking about you, hoping you'd fall, was an hour they lost forever. And now, here they are, months or maybe years later, realizing that while they were busy trying to tear you down, you were busy building an empire they can't even begin to touch. You were healing in silence. You were growing in the dark. You were becoming the version of yourself that didn't need their validation, their approval, or their acknowledgement. And that terrifies them more than anything because it means all that time, all that energy, all that focus they poured into you didn't stop you. It fueled you. But let's talk about what "I think about them every day" really means when you strip away the polite confession and get to the raw, unfiltered truth underneath. It means they wake up and your name is the first thought that crosses their mind. Not because they love you, but because they can't comprehend how you survived what they tried to put you through. It means they scroll through social media not to see what their friends are doing, but to see if you've posted, if you're happy, if you've moved on, if you're winning, because they need to know. They need confirmation that you're still struggling, still hurting, still affected by their absence or their betrayal or their cruelty. But every time they look, they see the opposite. They see you glowing. They see you laughing. They see you thriving. And it eats them alive because it dismantles the narrative they built in their head. The story where you were supposed to be broken, defeated, destroyed. Instead, you're the main character in a redemption arc they never saw coming, and they're just extras in the background of your comeback story. They replay old conversations in their head, searching for the moment where you faked it, trying to convince themselves that your kindness wasn't real, that your strength was an illusion, that your success is temporary. But deep down, they know the truth. They know you were real. They know you were genuine. They know everything they accused you of being was actually just a reflection of what they feared in themselves. Now, here's the part where we flip the script entirely, because living rent-free in someone's head isn't just about them thinking about you. It's about why they can't stop. And the reason, the core reason that keeps you lodged in their consciousness like a splinter they can't remove, is because you represent everything they're not. You represent the courage they don't have. You represent the integrity they compromised. You represent the peace they traded for chaos. You represent the growth they're too scared to pursue. Every time they think about you, they're not actually thinking about you. They're thinking about the version of themselves they could have been if they had made different choices. You're the mirror they can't avoid, and mirrors don't lie. They just reflect. And what you reflect back to them is uncomfortable, unbearable, undeniable truth. You show them that healing is possible, that change is real, that rising above toxicity isn't just a concept, it's a choice. And they didn't make that choice. They chose bitterness. They chose gossip. They chose destruction. They chose to stay in the mud while you climbed out, washed off, and built a palace on higher ground. So, when they say, "I think about them every day," what they're really saying is, "I think about who I could have been every day, and they remind me of my failure." You're not rent-free in their head because you're special to them. You're rent-free because you're evidence they can't erase. Let's go deeper, because we're not stopping at surface-level satisfaction. We're diving into the psychology of why this happens, why certain people become permanent residents in someone else's mental landscape. It starts with unfinished business. Not the kind of business where someone owes you money or an apology. I'm talking about emotional unfinished business, the kind that occurs when someone expected a specific outcome and got the complete opposite. They expected you to beg for their friendship back. You didn't. They expected you to publicly fall apart. You didn't. They expected you to seek revenge, to clap back, to drag them the way they dragged you. You didn't. And that silence, that refusal to engage, that decision to simply walk away and focus on yourself, that's what haunted them. Because silence isn't empty. Silence is full of power. Silence is the loudest statement you can make when people are used to noise. They were ready for war and you gave them peace. They were prepared for a fight and you gave them nothing to fight against. You became untouchable not because you built walls, but because you built wings and flew to a place they couldn't reach. And now they're stuck on the ground looking up, wondering how you did it, wondering what they missed, wondering why they can't move on when you clearly have. Here's something most people don't talk about when it comes to living rent-free in someone's head. It's not always dramatic. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's subtle, quiet, almost invisible. It's the way their mood shifts when your name comes up in conversation, the slight pause before they respond, the forced casualness in their voice when they say, "Oh, yeah. I haven't thought about them in forever." Which is code for, I literally thought about them this morning and yesterday and the day before that and probably tomorrow, too. It's the way they stalk your profiles from fake accounts, thinking they're slick, thinking you don't notice the random views from profiles with no pictures and 0 followers. It's the way they bring you up in conversations where you're not relevant, spinning narratives to make themselves look better, to justify what they did, to rewrite history in their favor because the real history makes them look like the villain they actually were. It's the way they compare every new person they meet to you, measuring everyone against the standard you set without even trying. It's the way they save old screenshots, old messages, old photos. Not because they miss you, but because they're trying to study you like a textbook, trying to figure out the formula of your success, the blueprint of your peace, the secret to your glow-up. And here's the kicker. There is no secret. You just chose yourself. You just decided that your mental health mattered more than their opinions. You just walked away from tables where you were the topic, but not the guest. That's it. That's the whole formula. But to them, it's magic they can't replicate. Now, I want you to sit with this truth for a second because it's about to validate everything you've ever felt but couldn't put into words. The fact that they think about you every day isn't a compliment to you. It's a consequence for them. It's the price they pay for how they treated you. It's karma subscription service and they're locked into a lifetime membership with no cancel button. Every time they mistreated you, they planted a seed in their own conscience. Every lie they told about you added weight to their guilt. Every time they smiled in your face while plotting behind your back, they created a debt with the universe that charges interest daily. And that interest? That's you living in their head, disrupting their peace, interrupting their happiness, reminding them at random moments during their highest highs and their lowest lows that they chose cruelty over kindness, ego over empathy, destruction over growth. You didn't curse them. They cursed themselves. You didn't cast a spell. They created their own prison. And the warden? The warden is their own conscience. And you're the poster on the wall they can't take down. You're the evidence they can't destroy. You're the witness they can't silence. And no matter how much time passes, no matter how much they try to move on, evolve, grow, change, you're there. Not as a person they can contact or confront, but as a permanent scar on their psyche, a reminder of the version of themselves they're ashamed of but can't fully escape. But here's where it gets even more interesting, where the narrative takes a turn that most people don't expect. Living rent-free in someone's head isn't just about what they think. It's about what they do because of what they think. It's the subliminal influence you have on their decisions without lifting a finger. It's the way they change their routine to avoid places you might be. It's the way they curate their social media to look like they're thriving, hoping you'll see it and feel jealous, regretful, or sad. But the joke's on them because you're not watching. You're not checking. You're not losing sleep over someone who lost you. They're performing for an audience that's not even in the theater anymore. They're creating content for a viewer who changed the channel years ago. And that is the most poetic form of irrelevance. They're shouting into a void decorated with your name, and the void isn't even echoing back. It's just empty, silent, unbothered, just like you. They're running a marathon in their mind, and you're not even on the track. You're at home, living your life, building your future, healing your past, completely unaware that somewhere out there, someone is having a full mental breakdown over the fact that you're fine, that you're happy, that you survived, that you thrived, that you won without even playing their game. Let me paint you a picture of what thinking about someone every day actually looks like when you zoom out and see the full scope of the obsession. It's them lying in bed at night, scrolling through old photos they promised themselves they deleted but secretly saved in a hidden folder labeled something inconspicuous like random or backup. It's them asking mutual friends about you in the most casual way possible, pretending it's just innocent curiosity when really it's desperation for information, for updates, for any crumb of your life that they're no longer part of. It's them rewriting history in their journal or their therapy sessions, painting themselves as the victim, the misunderstood one, the person who tried their best while you were difficult, complicated, too much, not enough. It's them listening to songs that remind them of you and feeling a pang of something they can't quite name, regret, nostalgia, anger, longing, all mixed into a cocktail of unresolved emotion that they drink daily. It's them seeing your success and feeling a weird combination of pride and bitterness. Proud because at some point they knew you, bitter because they're no longer connected to your glow. It's them practicing conversations with you in their head, apologies they'll never give, explanations they'll never deliver, accusations they'll never voice because deep down they know none of it would land the way they want it to. You've moved on. And that's the part that kills them. Not that you moved on from them specifically, but that you moved on, period. You evolved past the chapter they tried to trap you in. You outgrew the version of yourself they thought was permanent. You became someone they no longer recognize. Someone they can't predict, control, or understand. And that loss of power, that loss of access, that loss of relevance in your story, that's what keeps you in their head every single day. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. The question that's probably sitting in the back of your mind like a quiet whisper. Is this healthy? Is it okay to feel satisfaction from this? Am I wrong for enjoying the fact that I'm on their mind? And here's my answer. Feel whatever you need to feel. You're human. You were hurt. You were wronged. You were betrayed, abandoned, misunderstood, judged, attacked. You have every right to feel vindicated when the universe confirms that your absence left a mark. That your presence was more valuable than they realized. That your peace was worth more than their chaos. This isn't about being petty. This isn't about revenge. This is about validation. This is about knowing that your pain wasn't invisible. That your worth wasn't imaginary. That your impact wasn't insignificant. They think about you every day because you mattered. You changed something in them. Even if that change is discomfort. Even if that change is regret. Even if that change is the realization that they lost something real when they chose to destroy it. So, yes, feel that satisfaction. Let it wash over you like sunlight after a storm. Let it remind you that you're not crazy for feeling like you deserved better because you did. You do. And their daily thoughts are just receipts from the universe. Proof that you were right to walk away. Right to choose yourself. Right to protect your peace. Even when it meant losing people who didn't deserve to keep you anyway. But here's the twist. The part where wisdom meets power and you realize that living rent-free in someone's head is only satisfying if you're not living in a prison of your own making. Because yes, they think about you every day, but do you think about them? And if you do, what kind of thoughts are they? Are they thoughts of triumph and satisfaction? Or are they thoughts of anger and resentment? Are they empowering you or are they draining you? Because here's the ultimate truth that nobody tells you about living rent-free in someone's mind. It doesn't matter if they don't also own the deed to your own mental real estate. They can think about you every second of every day, and it means nothing if you're still giving them power in your own thoughts. Real freedom isn't just about being unforgettable to those who wronged you. Real freedom is about being unbothered by those who think they still have space in your life. It's about hearing that they think about you daily and feeling nothing. Not satisfaction. Not anger. Not smugness. Just nothing. Just peace. Just the calm recognition that their thoughts are their problem. Not your trophy. Because the highest level of winning isn't making them obsess over you. It's reaching a place where their obsession doesn't even register as relevant anymore. That's transcendence. That's true victory. That's the difference between revenge and evolution. Revenge keeps you connected to the past. Evolution propels you into a future where the past is just a footnote, not a chapter. So, where do we go from here? Where does this revelation take us now that we know someone's confession has confirmed what we already suspected? That you're not just memorable, you're unforgettable. Here's where we go. We go higher. We go deeper into our own peace. We go further into our own purpose. We take this information not as fuel for ego, but as confirmation that we're on the right path. Because if people who hurt you are still thinking about you, it means you didn't just survive what they did. You transformed through it. And transformation is threatening to people who are stagnant. Growth is intimidating to people who are stuck. Peace is offensive to people who are drowning in chaos. So, let them think about you. Let them replay old memories and dissect old conversations and wonder what could have been different. Let them carry you in their thoughts like a weight they can't put down. Because while they're doing that, you're going to be over here in the present moment, fully alive, fully free, fully focused on becoming the best version of yourself that's possible. You're going to wake up and think about your goals, your dreams, your family, your purpose, your joy. You're going to go to bed grateful, content, at peace. And somewhere, in some corner of the world, someone is going to be lying awake thinking about you, wondering how you do it, wishing they could undo what they did, regretting decisions they can't take back. And that's not your responsibility to fix. That's not your burden to carry. That's their karma to reconcile with. You just keep walking forward. You just keep glowing. You just keep living so loudly, so brightly, so authentically that anyone who thinks about you can't help but see the contrast between who they are and who you've become. Let's talk about the anatomy of obsession for a moment, because understanding why someone can't stop thinking about you is part of understanding your own power. Obsession happens when someone's brain gets stuck in a loop of trying to solve a puzzle that doesn't have a solution. In their case, the puzzle is you. How did you survive? How did you recover? How did you move on? How did you become better instead of bitter?